I used to take life way too seriously. And it was only when I started to see that life is but a game between me and the soul of existence that I started to see that everything that was happening to me in my life was actually for my own awakening. In fact, the more that you marinate in your suffering and don't allow your suffering to transmute into something that is gonna get you more awakened to the truth about who you are, you're actually just making things more difficult for yourself than it needs to be. And you can play life on easy mode. You know, you can just be who you are. And it's astounding how just being raw and unfiltered not only helps with opportunities opening up for you, it helps with relationships, it helps with business, it helps with it, really anything and everything. And it's a true honor to just be who you are. You know, it was very interesting today. I had several people. It's been a very fascinating couple of weeks. Lots of old timelines coming to a close. And I'm actually creating ways to track timelines. And I'm going to start implementing these in my Godlike Mastery initiate classes and the people who are doing my program, simply because I want to track this, because once I know that I can track it for myself, I know that I can help other people track it, and it will be practical and useful for them in the Godlike Mastery offer. So we're at a very precocious moment and an auspicious moment in which this time that we live in, we no longer need to be poverty stricken by our own vocabulary to express the beauty of this life. You know, when you start to see how everything that is happening around you is happening for the betterment of your own awakening, things just make a lot more sense, and you don't take it so personally. I mean, who else really is there to experience this life except for you anyway? Like, you don't really know, for example, that I exist. Like, you know that I exist and I'm a person because I have this, maybe you look at me and you see this charming and godly bad boy who is at one and at peace as much as he can be with the soul of existence. That's one level. Or you could see me as a weird dude with his shirt off, hanging out in the sun in his backyard, enjoying the nice spring breeze. You know, it's just a nice little spring breeze, you know, just nothing crazy, no exacerbating wind, but just a nice, cool spring breeze in the midst of the warm sun. And you can see that there's this weird dude, you know, in front of you. Or you could see me as another soul. You could see me as someone who is a part of you and you're a part of me, because we're all one anyway. So it's not just like, there really is no other, right? There is no other. There is, but there isn't. You know, it's the other that is the part of you that you have yet to integrate. That's the way that I see it. And this is where shadow integration comes into play. This is where anima and animus integration comes into play. But I'm looking to build off of these structures. And especially with the Godlike Mastery offer that I have and these new classes that we're doing in the Academy, the Regal Academy, I'm seeing just how profound of a shift this can be for the people that are going to actually take the recommendations, or, because I don't give advice, but it's more like, it's not even recommendations. And they're not taking anything, they're receiving a frequency. That's a better way to think about it. They're receiving a frequency in which they can reconstruct their internal architecture. And when you can reconstruct your internal architecture to such a degree that you are living completely and fully in spirit and truth as much as you can, and you just trust that maybe you don't know everything, but what you do, and you don't have to know everything. Thank goodness for that. But oh, we got a little friend here, a nice little black bird. He's like slowly coming over to hang out. This is pretty funny. I've never seen a bird just kind of like waddle over here like this. He might even want to get into the picture. Oh, well, anyway, it's always nice to have, I feel as though animals and trees are more friendly than a lot of human beings. Have you ever noticed that? Like, I was out on a walk yesterday, and I was looking at the trees, and I could feel as if they were Ents from Lord of the Rings. If anybody's seen Lord of the Rings, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like, I could feel like they were speaking to me, and I could listen to them, and I could hear them. And I actually had a very interesting dream last night, which I want to share with you for those of you that are ready for this. So, I had a dream last night that the soul of existence, God, spoke to me. And in the dream, I was in this dark abyss. But it wasn't really like a shadowy place. It was just more like this vast space for me. And I could do whatever I wanted in here. And I could like build anything that I wanted to as long as I just thought of it. And in this vast space, like this Visa space, this virtual visual reality in timelessness, the soul of existence said to me, "Where are words? Do you see where words are?" And I woke up from the dream, and I thought that was a very peculiar type of dream, because then I started to look around. And I started to look at life in a new way. I looked at life in a new, different type of way, in which I saw that the Word made flesh, like in the Bible, what it talks about, this is exactly what it's talking about, where we, with the power of language, create reality. So this is why it's so important to transmute your suffering into some kind of form of creativity, or what I call in the Regal timeline theory, symbolic differentiation. And if you can symbolically differentiate between certain things going on for you in your life, and then you can do something about it and create something with it, that's where you can create your reality. Like, for example, a thought algorithm that I've been propelling myself into being and just embodying more and more each day for the last month or so is, I'm invisible to scarcity and scarcity is invisible to me. And as soon as that happened, there were so many weird things happening. For the Regal Change old timers that are very consistent with watching me, then you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you're in the Regal Academy, you know what I'm talking about too, because we talked about it in there. But wow, I mean, it has completely changed my life and shifted my life in such a way that I didn't even know I still had like attachments to some type of form of scarcity. And I know that I'm not a fully self-realized being, but I also know that godlike mastery is a practice, and I've done enough work on myself to know that I am not the master. I'm not the educator. I am the mastery education. That's who and what I am in the spirit of this time. And so in my own narrative structures that I'm reconfiguring and reconstructing, and in my own internal architecture, I am discerning how certain thought algorithms, if you can just embody the outcome, your life is going to change so fucking fast. You're not even going to like it's going to be wild to you how fast it changes. And I've experienced this. And if you're ready, you can experience this too. This is going to be a message only for people who are really ready for like next level type of a thing. If you're not ready for this next level type of spiritual practice, or I suppose I was going to say endowment of being, because it kind of is an endowment of being. If you're not ready for this, then you're just simply not ready for it. And that's okay. It just means that this is not the time. You can come back to this another time. Because many people might hear what I'm saying about frequencies and internal architecture and all this stuff, and they might not fully comprehend it. They might understand, but they might not understand. And if you understand what I'm saying, then you can go ahead and write Regal Timeline Narrative in the comment section below. Otherwise, just soak in the information and embody this necessarily. So we did a case study for semen retention practices, and my channel, for those who are not familiar with my work, a lot of what I do on this channel regards around the practice of celibacy and semen retention, and simply sexual purity, but not a repression of sexual experiences. So one thing that we wanted to do, though, in this case study, which I have completed as far as the total compilation of the data, and I'll be presenting this on our regular Semen Retention Sunday this weekend, and the data has been incredible. And this is an official case study. I'll be posting it also in the Regal Academy. So people that they want to have more insight, they can go look there. Otherwise, they can just watch the video for it. But essentially what's going on is that we wanted to track the psychophysiological structures internally, and the internal baseline, as well as the core presupposition of this tracking, which is the consecutive days on semen retention. Now, what's been astounding is that the longer you go on semen retention, the more stabilized your psychology becomes. And it's not to say that you won't have like bad days, right? Because there's 30 days in a month, and that means your top 10% and your bottom 10% of days, you're gonna have top 10%, which is like 3 days out of the month. You're gonna have really great days. The bottom 3%, you're not gonna have so much great days. However, that doesn't mean that when you go down, you have to go down, or when you go up, you have to go up. You're going to be stabilized. And so what this consecutive data showed was that you're more stabilized. And I thought a lot about how this is going to play a factor in timelines and in the Regal timeline theory. And I've also seen how people who are romanticizing their own narrative structures are simply not going to be capable of being responsible enough to ensure that they understand their own symbolic narrative structure that they're implementing into the symbolic narrative field, which is neutral as a field. And that kind of goes in line with what my dream was last night. Where are words? Where are they? What are they? Well, you are the one that creates them. So there's only, like, I've been watching these Studio Ghibli movies, and one thing that I really enjoy about them is they just, you pop right into these Studio Ghibli movies. I usually have about one movie night every week or two where I'll watch a movie and I'll have like a nice, I don't call it a cheat meal. I call it a mental health investment meal, where I just enjoy. I'm 90% of the time, I'm eating fairly well, and then that last 10 to 15%, maybe like 85 to 90% of the time I'll eat really well. 10 to 15% of the time, yeah, I'm gonna have, a little something something, because I like that. I like to enjoy life. I don't take life so seriously, but I do take my health seriously. It's like what the Buddha said. There are three things that cannot be hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. And the truth is that the enjoyment of life is truly a blessing. And this is going to be a life hack for many of you. When you're not romanticizing your own suffering in your symbolic narrative field, your internal architecture naturally becomes joyful. So everything in life, even the construction that you're hearing in the background, even everything all around us, it can simply be just, so another great day in the Matrix. It doesn't really mean much unless you want it to. And there's going to be things where you don't have to take care of certain problems. Like maybe that problem doesn't need to be fixed right now. Maybe what needs to be more attended to is your own sanity. Maybe you need to meditate. Maybe you need to chill out. Maybe you need to take an active rest day. I've been working out pretty much no days off for 3 years. And then over the past 4 months or so, I've been being in a active rest day at least once a week for the last 4 months. And that's been so much better for me. My work has been improving. The quality of my life has improved. I am not living life on easy mode necessarily, as in I'm still doing hard things, but I'm not attached to the grind. I'm not attached to it. I'm focusing on what I need to focus on, and I let go of what I can't control. And ever since I decided, I fully decided, you know what? I'm going to go all in on myself. I'm going to do this because I don't know how to do anything else. I don't. And I don't really want to either. I don't really know how to do anything apart from godlike mastery and being the help. I don't know how to do anything else, and I don't see any reason to do anything else. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm not saying that you have to do this. What I'm saying is that whatever it is, if you feel so called to do it, just be it. You're not going to find your purpose. You're not going to find it. It's not something that you find. It's something that you embody. And I think that that's one of the reasons why so many men are struggling in this society, is because they're trying to look for purpose and they don't know how. So they don't know that in itself is an illusion. So what ends up happening is that they just, go into the corn, start worshiping the pink palace and bonely cans women. And women, they have everything that they could ever want right now, but they don't have the wisdom. Most of them don't. They have a lot of things going on for themselves, which is great. I love to see women be creative and be supportive, and because I do think that men only can become more godly and being one with the soul of existence by leading socially in themselves, and women can only become more godlike by supporting socially. I don't see how it could be another way in the spirit of the time. I just don't. And I love to see women support. I love to see women be more ruthless. I love to see men be more ruthless. But I also want to see this more compassionate and nurturing quality come out. I want to see more playfulness. More childlike playfulness. Not not childish, childlike. Don't take life so seriously. That's really the main message here, is don't let your suffering get to you so much that you take life too seriously. Let it transform you. And with all that being said, I hope that this message was useful and insightful for you. Be blessed. I'm positive that this was insightful for the people who are ready to receive it. I don't need to hope anymore. I am positive that this was insightful. And I know this because I'm seeing results. I'm seeing results in people. I want to do a Godlike Mastery series of case studies for the people who have done my Godlike Mastery program and showcase the differentiation in their psychology and their psychophysiology over the course of those 3 months. And I'm going to start implementing that more. I've already got one case study, but I want to start doing that more and more so that we can see the true results. Like, we don't need to hope for results anymore. We know that we're capable. We know that we're doing this. We know that this is changing lives. We know that we're raising consciousness, but we're not attached to the outcome. It's like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, he says, you're entitled to the work, but you're not entitled to the outcome. But ironically, when you're not entitled to the outcome that you want always happens. So, with that being said, be blessed. Peace. Until next time.